everybody, it's OMAD Caroline. Just got done doing strength training with some HIIT in there. I actually had 2 days off of working out, and I try not to ever have like one day turn into two, but I was studying like crazy and I went like 3 or 4 days without seeing my grandson. So I spent the last 2 days with my grandbaby. So it's okay. But I am back after it on program for my half marathon coming up on January 16th, as long as it doesn't get canceled. So I'm excited about that. But I was like really thinking about, when I talked about my fitness, never letting one day turn into two. As I have been on my OMAD journey, I rarely allow one day of non-OMAD turn into two. Like it's only happened to have a handful of times. And I was like thinking about those few days up until I took my exam. I kind of wasn't even thinking about OMAD or intermittent fasting, and I pretty much had an average window of 6 hours, and I was snacking all day. And I realized I let one day not doing OMAD turn into 2, 3, 4, and I was like, but it made me really realize that OMAD and intermittent fasting, in my mind, I was always like, yeah, I do intermittent fasting because it's really helping balance out my hormones, getting my ghrelin, all of that to work right, getting all those hormones settled so my body's functioning. So when I feel hungry, I'm actually hungry. When I'm full, I'm actually full. And I'm going to get those benefits, not to mention if I do a prolonged fast, I get into autophagy where, my healthy cells are just attacking all those weak cells like cancer and getting rid of them. And I was always like, I'm always going to be an intermittent faster because of those benefits. But I realized those 4 days or a few days of like being off OMAD program or intermittent fasting program, I realized how bad my behavior still is when it comes to food. I still, like, when I have that freedom of an open window, I go snack. It has nothing to do with hunger. I wasn't hungry. I just wanted to taste food and chew and all that good stuff and let it make me feel good. So I realized my behavior, doing OMAD for over a year and a half, as far as my relationship with food, I'm not sure how much that relationship has changed. And it's like, well, do I try to change that behavior and then, and try to control when I'm snacking in that? And then I'm like, but aren't you doing that? Aren't you controlling that over snacking behavior by having a window? I mean, when you look at, psychology books and stuff like that, it always says that make good behaviors easier to do and make negative behaviors more difficult to do. So, for instance, say you want to work out every day and you get off work. If you pick a gym on your way home and you have a gym bag and water in your front seat, it's going to be a little bit easier stimulus and easier to go get a workout than going home, changing, then getting back in your car, driving back to the gym. So like that's making a positive behavior easier to do by doing that. So I'm like thinking, well, if my bad behavior is over snacking, keeping a window is actually making it more difficult to snack, right? So my OMAD, there's times where I'm in the mood for ice cream and stuff, because normally when I do OMAD, I will eat and then I'm done, But there are times when I feel like, earlier in the day is like, oh man, I miss having a Reese's peanut butter cup, or Nutty Bar sounds good, something like that. And I will plan for that snack, but it's always within an hour window of OMAD. So I will eat a meal and be done, but I always allow myself that hour just in case, maybe after 45 minutes or, half hour after eating, my window is close to being an hour and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have that snack, and I eat it and it's okay. But can you imagine if I'm on one of those days where I got my sweet tooth going in that and I've got this giant window of 6 hours? It would have ended up just like what happened when I was studying. So I started thinking, yeah, I'm definitely always going to have a window. Like I'm definitely always going to have a window, and I'm going to always going to make it more difficult for me to snack because bad behavior is emotionally driven, right? So like, it's we need to find a way to make it more difficult to happen. More when we're in our emotions, it's hard to, you know, have the voice of reason when inside of us. So I'm like, it's funny though, because it's like, well, you could easily just not do your window. And I'm like, yeah, I could, but I'm pretty good at being disciplined on the window. I'm pretty good at sticking to what a rule, and that's the way it makes it more difficult for me. For you, not snacking, maybe, you know, not having snacks in the car. Or, when Ted first started trying to lose weight, he actually put his snacks out in the vehicle. And at night, if he felt like snacking, he had to go out in the cold and snow out in the car to go get his snack out. And it really worked for him. So that's what I'm saying, making it more difficult. And for me, having an eating window helps with that. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be able to change that behavior, but I am going to make it more difficult, and I'm definitely always going to be an intermittent faster. But it's just some thoughts I had about it. And you know I think in past videos I was always like, oh, I've changed my relationship with food. But after those few days, no, I didn't change my relationship with food. I still really like it. It still makes me feel good. And when I'm in emotional state, I'm in danger of snacking. So I'm really thankful for intermittent fasting, and me having the discipline to have a window. And I don't think I'm ever going to allow myself to definitely never again allow one day turn into two ever again. I don't even care if I'm on vacation. I don't mind opening my window to 4 hours. It's really hard to over snack in that, and that's fine. But yeah, yeah, when I'm in an emotional state, I just am weak and I slip back to those bad behaviors. So I'm always going to make it difficult by having an intermittent fasting window. So hopefully those behaviors change. We'll see. Just some thoughts. I hope I made sense and just wanted to share that with you. All right, I have to go take a shower because I get my grandson. Life is so good. Nana, life is so good. I love it. All right, guys. Bye.